Well, this seam is going to need a bit of work. I've sanded it and added mud a few times, and I just need a little bit more work there just to get it nice and smooth. So I'm going to keep plugging away at that. That's the north end of the yard. And if I pan over here, it's going to be the south end of the yard. My workbench will be L-shaped in here. The main line will come off the back track. There's the main line coming around to the left. It's going to come around, and there's going to be a little bit of unscenic layout kind of behind my bench work, or behind my behind my workbench. And then it's going to come back out here towards us, right around here. And at that point, it's heading south. The Deepwater terminal will branch off. The main line will run around the peninsula. But the geometry of the room right in here ended up about, 8 or 10 inches shy of what I was hoping, because I hadn't accounted for the fridge that had been there. I left room to get to it, but I didn't really leave room for the door to swing all the way open so that you could get into it conveniently. And that was going to cause all kinds of problems with the peninsula that's coming this way. Because if I just simply moved it out, the creek scene, y'all may remember from the old layout, and then I'm going to duplicate that or make something similar to extend this, non-industrial, scenic, open running area across the area in front of the door. The aisle between that and the end of the peninsula would have been just too cramped. So I will not be moving the whole peninsula. Instead, I've moved the refrigerator from here to there, and I'm gonna reconfigure that. What's gonna end up happening is this is staging coming across here. So there doesn't have to be much to it. I can manipulate that easier than I can manipulate the entire peninsula. So I moved the fridge from there to there to allow for the peninsula to start as close to the wall as it really needs to do what I want it to do. Now the no-go space will stay away from the sink, the fridge, the bottom of the stairs. So what this is just shooting the grade. That is the top of the benchwork. You can see how it's sort of catching the edge of the foam there right at the top. Because I want to get that, I need to get that in place so that I can get my benchwork built and the rest of the stuff moved out of the spare bedroom where the layout used to be. So I'll be doing that as well. I think my attention as I work on that joint, I'm also going to be building this little turnback area, which will be mounted to the wall over here. All right, so here's a look at the south end of the yard, the little funky shaped piece of shelving that's gonna go above the workbench where the main line curves back to the south and back towards Deepwater Terminal. And here's a look at the newly cut 4x8 sheet of plywood that will make up that funky shape. So I've got it cut out. What I'm gonna do now, I've noticed that this table is actually bowed slightly down in the middle. So I'm just gonna lay this out on the floor and brace up the bottom of it while it's down. I'm also going to go ahead and, unlike what I did over there, go ahead and cut the foam to fit and attach it when it's down here in this state where it's very easy to work with. All right, I'm just laying out some 1x2s here on the floor. I think this is kind of how I'm gonna do it. So I've got 2 long ones going along the 8-foot length of this to provide stability that way. I've got a couple of cross braces, and then over here, got the 4-foot run going this way to give it some stability that way. And then just some scrap pieces here on these angles to kind of brace those up so they don't sag. I will probably that one and one over here wait to attach them until I know exactly where the studs are on this wall, and that way I can with the angle brackets I'm going to use, those guys, have them in a stud and in one of the cross members to hold that straight. So that's where we are. What I'll do is cut all this stuff to fit. It's just sort of rough cut right now. glue it as well as screw it with a, you know, big long, not too long, but a drywall screw plus wood glue to make that nice and rigid. And I'm working off the assumption that my garage floor is pretty flat, at least right here. So, all right, so I've got this section all braced up, and those 3 cross members in the middle are not attached because I want to hold those back to know where the studs are, so that when I put the mounting brackets on there, I've got something to mount them to. But this is the design I went with. It's just 1x2, bracing up that 1/2-inch plywood. This thing is 8 feet long, so it is a whole sheet cut. And this little thing, this is upside down obviously, so this will invert. And this little section will end up fitting back in there. And the workbench will be under this sort of coved area. So that's the plan. But I've got wood glue in there, and I've got screws that came in from underneath. I've also got them, you know, on the ends of joints like that. But I want to let that glue set. So I'm going to leave this here for now, and hopefully in the next segment I'll have this thing mounted on the wall up there. More to come. All right, quick in progress here. I've got that piece we just built, the end piece, mounted on the wall using the same brackets as before. And I'm gonna need some sort of a leg out here. This will be the beginning of the peninsula. So the peninsula will shoot out off the end of this that way and run parallel to the yard. So we've got our extension on the north end of the yard, and now we're starting to tie in the south end of the yard too. The important thing here is now this is getting me to where I can start actually setting up my workbench, bringing stuff down, and I've got some LED strip lighting I'm gonna put all under here to light up the workbench area, which I think will be pretty nice. So just a quick in progress, lots of things drying here. I'm gonna have to come in and patch up these seams just like I did at the other end of the yard. And but yeah, I'm very happy, making progress, and I'm happy with how this is turning out. All right, so as the week ends, that is all the stuff, all my paints and everything that was on the wall behind my workbench. Got it all moved out, got that area cleared out because, sorry for the fast pan there, starting to make some progress on the workbench area here, and still trying to figure out exactly how I want to use this waste piece of countertop. I'm probably just going to cut it to fit in the corner there, mount it with something like those, call it a day. Bunch of wasted space back in that corner, but it kind of is what it is. But I'll think about that before I start measuring and cutting anything. I'm gonna let that one marinate for a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out here for a little area to work. I don't know if those are gonna stay there. One thing I know is this desk and this desk are about where they're going to be. This is the one I had before. This is new. Well, new to the model railroad. So that's the workbench, all the stuff down here. I've put the first coat of mud on the seams here. I have not done any work because some of it's still drying over here. And as I pan back to the north end of the yard, we'll finish where we started. I'm happy with this now. That is pretty smooth. Certainly not gonna cause any problems with any bumps in track or anything. So that's ready to be painted, as is the rest of this. But at this point, I guess I might as well wait until I've got the south approach to the yard ready as well. I popped myself up on a step ladder to get a better view of what we got done this week. So I'm pretty happy with how that's all turned out. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap the video up here. Running out of time this week. So I hope everyone is well and safe. Thanks for watching.